and welcome back to the Moebius Chronicles. Today we will be reviewing the latest release from Dark Horse and their Moebius Library series. For the ones of you who already have been purchasing the other volumes in this series, you will see right away that the format and binding has not changed and aligns well with the other books, which are the World of Adina, the Art of Adina, the Inside Moebius series, and the other recent book from this year, which is Dr. Moebius and Mr. Gilles. And this is unfortunately the only one which is a soft cover. Something that rubbed the nitpicky nerd that I am the wrong way when I saw this. But I'm happy to see that Dark Horse decided to bring back the hardcover format for this book. As you can see, of course, the other hardcovers fall pretty much perfectly in line with the new book. So if you have these on a shelf like I do, and you like to look at these nice and evenly aligned together, you're going to be very happy. Unfortunately, this one, as I said, does not fit that format. And if you haven't already watched my review of this book, then you can find the link right here. But back to the major. This volume is 190 pages long, and as usual when it comes to Dark Horse, it's really well packaged. Compared to the latest French edition, it is worth noticing that the size has doubled, meaning that they have increased the size of the pages by 2 times. I don't have my French copy of the major anymore, but it is identical in size to the latest, or I would say recent, more accurately, the recent notebook series, which was published by Moebius Production in French, of course, during the past few years, such as the Fauna of Mars or the Laszlo Parker book. And as you can see, these are kind of tiny. It's how they were designed to be as well. So really happy to see that they decided to blow up the size and align it to the rest of their collection. I realize that some of you might prefer the original format, especially since this is how Moebius has intended it to be, as they were in fact notebooks and notebook sketches from the beginning. But I personally find the oversized editions to really perform well when it comes to enjoying his art, and we can really dive into his drawing and admire in full detail all of his line work. So let's talk about what's inside. The major is advertised, and I'm going to stress the word advertise, and I'll get back to it later, as the 4th chapter in the Airtight Garage series, which started in 1978 with the first cycle of stories of the same name. In this case, I have an Italian edition of that, to then be followed by The Man from the Siguri, published in 1995, and then by the 3rd installment, Les Chasseurs de Primes, pardon my pronunciation here, which came out in 2008, and which is known in English as The Depressed Hunter, but which to this date has not been translated to English, unfortunately. In this case, I do have the Spanish edition, and the French edition has just been republished for its 2nd time, actually. So you can find these pretty easily and at a really good price. So the major comes as the concluding chapter of the story, but in my opinion, it has very little to do with the previous 3 books, and we will see why. Starting in 1997, so 10 years before the third book, this one here, was published, the major was produced over the course of 12 years as a series of short stories with a focus, as the title suggests, on the character of Major Grubert, and not anymore set on or in the Airtight Garage and its inhabitants. The setup itself stays true to the way the previous stories were created, in a spontaneous, improvised, and unstructured manner. But it also shares a lot of similarities to the Inside Moebius series, which I showed one of the volumes here. In English, it is divided in 3 volumes. In French, you can find it in 2, if I'm not mistaken. And if you haven't checked it out, you should really, really look into it. It's really interesting. But back to the book. As I said, it shares a lot of similarities to the Inside Moebius series, and not just because of the lack of preliminary pencils, but because of how the characters are set up. So this is why I said before that this book is advertised, quotation marks, as the 4th volume in the series. But for me personally, it has very little to do with it, and it feels much more as a part of the Inside Moebius cycle. The most blatant parallel is the fact that the major is found in Desert B, where we are introduced to the major himself, Major Grubert, and 2 new characters, Whatson and Senator, which are clear parallels to the Hamlet characters of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the childhood friends of Hamlet, which are summoned to distract the prince from his apparent madness, but also to spy on him to determine the cause of it. And Whatson and Senator tackle the very nature of existence, and they have debates about it, while the major is facing the questions of belonging, of finding lost love, as well as the complex relationship dynamics between the author and his creation. Exactly like in Inside Moebius. And who can understand this dynamic better than the major himself, of course? The one who created the Airtight Garage. So this is a clever parallel which clearly unfolds in front of us, as Desert B is the playground of Moebius, in which the major lives, and the Airtight Garage is the playground and creation of the major, which is now realizing that he is but a character made by a bigger creator than himself, and captive of this world. And as with many of his latest works, the influence of Carlos Castaneda is also very present as we journey into a constantly shifting reality. As time, landscapes, characters, and even names and spellings are constantly morphing and fluctuating, sometimes even in the same page, showcasing the playfulness and improvisation of Moebius at its extremes. To stay true to the mutable quality of this book, it is also worth noticing that during the years in which the major was produced, several people contributed to its pages. Including his daughter Nausicaa, his son Raphael, his wife Isabel, and artists such as William Vance, Lorenzo Mattotti, André Gillard, and even more. And you can find these names in the corner. When they actually collaborate and contribute to a page, you will see who actually did and where. That's kind of a neat little thing. So what to say about the book? I really found the book very enjoyable, humorous, and actually a surprisingly quick read despite the size. As usual, when it comes to Moebius, this is a book that you can read over and over again and each time discover something new. And by the way, I really recommend you read the story notes at the end, right here, by the translator Diana Schultz, as they really give some fantastic insight and additional information into the book, into the play of words and how she made some choices to really follow the narrative and give us the best possible interpretation. So shout out to her for yet another fantastic job on translating this complicated story. So yeah, that's it about the book, really. Really happy, great book, and beautifully packaged, and absolutely a must-have for fans out there, I must say. Additionally, I would like to add that I am really pleased to see that Dark Horse Comics has not dropped the ball on continuing their Moebius Library series after quite a long hiatus during and after COVID. And I'm really looking forward to what the next volume will be. Also, it seems that the English-speaking crowd is actually getting noticed by the Moebius estate itself, since they have now published a bunch of books in double languages, such as the Max Ernst catalog, which is in English and German, the Alla ricerca del tempo one in French and Italian, and latest of which the Arzac art book, Le Petit Panthéon, which is in English and French again. And that has to be noted, which is the first of a series of books. So really excited to see what the future will bring when it comes to Moebius publications. Okay, just in time to turn the last few pages. So yeah, that was it for today. Quick review of the major. Again, I really recommend it. Thank you so much for watching, and catch you next time. Bye.